Okay, so I'm talking to Claire, who is in her second year in the alt cert world, and she will be enrolling in the 61616 class, which for most people is the very last class of the program. And we do it that way because we have an assessment embedded in that class called the Missouri Educator Evaluation System, the MEES, which is really a communication between your principal and me about your proficiency on the 9 teaching standards. And so there's nothing else you have to do in that. But we will talk about the teaching standards heavily in 61616. And again, it's at the very end because it has to be at the end of the program. It's a 2-hour class, and I try to make it very practical and kind of wrap up a lot of things in the program, and you'll see. So, and again, I'll remind everybody that because alt cert is a certification program, not a degree program, the computer doesn't know what to do with you sometimes. So I will get the information to everybody, and you can rework. Either I'll get a new enrollment sheet out, or you can just cut and paste over an existing enrollment sheet for the classes. And I will send, Claire, I will send you a line that shows you the proper CRN. There's only one, but the proper codes to cut and paste into the enrollment sheet. And then you give back to me, and then I forward it to the registrar's office, and I say, please get Claire enrolled in this class, and they go through, and they do it. And technically it's hand enrolled, and I don't have a better way to do it. So it's pretty straightforward. So Claire, is there anything else I can help you with at the moment?
Well, I mostly wanted to just make sure that I was reading everything correctly, and then that was the last course of the program. So at the end of the semester, next, I guess, spring semester, when we are wrapping up, I assume that at that point you would tell me what my next options were, what to do next.
Well, what the process is, Kim Hollinger, our certification officer, she and I communicate on people we call completers. And she says, well, these are the people I think should complete. Is that the same as your list? And we confer back and forth, and Kim Hollinger's always right. So, once in a while people have an incomplete or something like that. And so, and we just talk back and forth. Then we will communicate to you, although by this point, most of you, there's not a lot else to do other than go back into your DESE portal, and there's some steps in there that you do and Kim Hollinger does to apply for your full teaching certificate. And then at that point, once you have the full teaching certificate, you are eligible to test for other Missouri content assessments. You're eligible to take to be certificated in other areas. And and if someone wants to go teach in Kansas or Iowa, then Kim Hollinger will help with that. Missouri has a lot of reciprocity with other states, but there's usually a little nuance here and there to get fully in the groove in a different state. And we work with Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa a lot, and Kim can do it, easily.
And I do remember, like, when I was first starting this program, really, I was just worried about getting my certification, but we had talked about how some or a handful of the credits could apply towards a master's.
You did ask me about that. Probably the only course that we can see about working is the multiculturalism classes you've taken.
Okay.
Almost all the master's programs have a diversity course in there. And we have to see if they would accept that course. Anymore, our master's programs are 10 classes, and it's rather prescribed. It's through called OP, Academic Partners, and the classes are 7 weeks at a time. You just roll right through them. So the whole program's only 30 hours anymore, which master's programs used to be at least 36 hours. And so part of the question will be whether you want to go into something in the C&I world or the ed leadership world, or what flavor of master's degree you want to talk about. So why next spring, why don't you and I communicate about that, and I can help aim you at the proper coordinator for whichever program you're interested in, because it helps if we say, okay, this person's already a Bearcat, because our master's programs on the front end, we have people help us with the mechanics on the front end that are not Bearcats. They're more of a nationwide type of thing. And so, but if we say, no, this person, treat this person differently because they're already in our system, they're already a Bearcat, streamline them into the process. Okay.
Okay. Awesome. That sounds good.
Talk about that in the spring. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Perfect. Bye. Let's see. Almost all of you in this Zoom now, Claire, except for Claire's already had this class, 61-615, which is the second block class in the fall. Okay. Some of the classes you'll encounter will be 7 week, block 1, block 2. And the 61-615 class is the second 7 weeks of the fall. And Dr. Reynolds is one that's teaching that. And so the reason I'm recording this is I'm going to put this recording back in our course site for 61-614, so everybody in there can see her face. And I'll give her the floor for a little bit. If you want to talk about your vision for 61-615, I did put, if you saw, I put in the invitation again, information about the Lamov book that you'll be weaving through. But if you want to talk about your vision for the class and how you want it to flow, be a good chance for you to talk to everybody that's going to be in it. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Perfect. Hi, guys. So just kind of giving you a little bit of background on myself. I was in education for 25 years. I retired, and I'm currently the director of education at the Kansas City Zoo. So this is my retirement gig, as I call it. Not everyone loves the zoo, but it is a great place because we take all the fun stuff from formal education and we get to do it all the time in informal education. So it's a fun environment to be in, and it's a little bit different. However, these classes that I get to teach for Northwest are my tie back to that K-12 school still. So I love teaching these classes, and I am glad that I've gotten the opportunity to teach this class. So when I was talking to Dr. Gordon in the beginning, I'm like, so how exactly is it that you would like for me to teach this class? Do you want me to do exactly what you've done before, or can I kind of take a little bit of a leeway? And he says, have fun. So that's what I did. So the class, basically you're going to have 2 assignments every single week. You're going to have an assignment out of the Lamov book, which is going to be the basis of part of the discussion boards. And then you're also going to have a discussion board based off of what I'm kindly referring to as the Me's for me journal. So you are going to create a journal for the next 7 weeks. And within that journal, every week or journal entry, you're going to focus on one of the standards that aligns to our week. So I will give you details on which one it is and the specifics that I want you to pull out of that week. So then we can post that. You can either do a vlog if you would like to do some type of a video. If you're not so crazy about videotaping yourself and you'd rather just take some pictures around your classroom or the space that you have. And then if you want to write some type of like a blog to go along with those pictures, either one is perfectly fine with me. It's completely up to you on how you would like to actually complete this journal. But every week you will upload that week's journal entry for the class to have discussions around. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do a little bit different than probably other classes is I am going to open up the entire class for you from day 1. So here's the reason why behind doing that. As we all know, in the classroom, everything is not perfect. My dogs are going to bark. Everything is not absolutely perfect. And you can't say, we're going to do this on this day. And so you have no, give me 1 second.
Marcus and Dakota, being post-bac people, you are able to enroll yourselves. Email me if you want to get a particular CRN or something like that, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, I kicked them out, so they're outside now. Sorry about that. So anyway, so the reason, so we can't be prescriptive about exactly when we know things are going to happen in our classrooms. So I want you guys to be able to have the ability to say, okay, this is what the whole 7 weeks is going to look like. So when something does happen in your classroom, you're like, oh man, I can use that for this journal entry, or I can use this for this technique because it fits in perfectly with my lesson plans for this week. That way you don't have to go back and try and replicate something that you've done before or fake it for an assignment, but also so that way you are able to really be using the techniques out of Limov, as well as being able to truly understand what the MEAS standards mean and how they're going to be looking. So it's really important for me, for you guys to be able to use this class as a way to really kind of hone who you guys are going to be as teachers, or who you are as teachers. It's not a class that I'm going to sit here and lecture you on, because that's not how I see where you guys are at in your program. It's really more important for me to give you the tools for you to try, and then come back for us to talk about them, and then kind of have some really great discussions around them. So starting on the 11th, I'm going to open up the class to everyone. So if you're enrolled in the class, starting on the 11th, you'll have access to it. You can look at everything. You can start planning out, hey, I'm going to be doing this lesson here, or this is what fits in really good with my lesson plans for this part of the class. And then you guys can start working on things from there. So if you have any questions before then, you can get me on through Canvas, and so it'll be opened up for you guys. You can email me through there. You can also email my Northwest email. However, I got an email that said that I needed to change my password before they cut me off. Obviously, I didn't do that in time, so now I've got to call IT and figure out how to get back into the email system, which I'm going to work on that tomorrow. So, Dr. Gordon, anything else that you'd like for me to share about the class, or anything else?
Well, your email address would be in the invitation for this Zoom. So Shannon, Sophia, Marcus, Katie, Dakota, you can reach her that way when she gets her passwords up and running. So, okay. And then Claire, Claire's too old for this. She's right.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. So, hey, Claire, do you have any advice you would give for people?
Thank you very much.
Do you have any advice for anybody in the just starting this program, Claire?
I mean, I really feel like it was just one class at a time, and before I knew it, I'm almost done now. So it really just one semester at a time. While you're teaching, it can be kind of a lot, unless like this semester, finally, I feel like I am really, really, truly applying a lot of the things that I've learned throughout this course, and I'm able to. The first year was just the first year of teaching in a COVID year, so it was kind of chaotic. But I feel like this year I've been able to more so apply all the things that I've been learning, and it makes it that much more impactful when I can see it working with kids. So
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good night.
So are there any questions for any of you in the gallery there for either one of us? I do not have an agenda for these office hours, just a chance to communicate about the enrollment process. What I do, I go into Cat Paws as your advisor, and I find, and I make sure what classes you are enrolled in, what what I expect you to be, and then I make sure that I have plotted out. I sent Shannon a copy of this because all of you, when you get in the program, get versions of a program of study, just a list of classes. Last summer, it was such a weird summer. I didn't do a good job of getting it broken down as to what semester each class was offered. And so I've done that now. So if I can easily cut and paste that and send it to anybody that asks for it. And so really how it flows, 2 classes, fall, spring, at least 2 classes, some of you 3. And it just depends on how much you want to take upon yourself. And most of you will be taking a reading class, 62553, with Pat Thompson, which is a challenging course. So I just want you to know that, just be ready to hit the ground running there. And then a lot of you also have a methods class, which is offered only specific times. So it gets a little bit challenging. So I have to pick and choose a little bit. If you want to take on 3 classes, fine. If you only want 2, we need to talk about which class to put off. Technically, you're in a 2-year program, so we don't have gobs of flexibility, but we have a little bit, and that's just a case-by-case basis with each of you. So so what I will do, I will send each of you an email to say, here are the classes that I have on your list. Here's the CRNs. The CRN is a specific course number that applies for an exact class for you to get into. And then those of you that are post-bac, like Marcus there, they have, for whatever, well, the system will let a post-bac person, well, especially if they're already enrolled in a master's program, same time, system lets them enroll themselves. So it's different for every person that I work with. So, but I am working on the information to help you with enrollment. We don't have a huge hurry because we've got all the rest of the semester, and you really need to just focus on doing a good job in the class that you're in right now. Purposefully, we try to keep your workload in your very first fall rather lean, because we know how swamped you can be. And, that's just how that is. Every new teacher feels swamped, and it marginally gets better the more experience you have, but it's always challenging. Okay, you just get more used to the challenges, and you can foresee the challenges. And your lesson plans, you learn to reuse your lesson plans and modify them, and so you just get more efficient in your work. I do encourage those of you to not spend a lot of time thinking that you have to redo curriculum. Beg, borrow, and steal. Feed off of your people, your colleagues, or reach out to a teacher in another district and say, okay, when are you teaching this in your 6th grade science class? And when you're teaching that, can I beg and borrow some of your lesson plans? And so don't think you have to start from scratch. And there are zillions of lesson plans out there in the internet world. And of course you have to modify those to fit your own brain. You cannot teach verbatim off of somebody else's lesson plan, which is what Dr. Reynolds there. I knew that our brains don't work exactly the same way. And if somebody gives me a Canvas site, first thing I do is start shifting stuff around to fit the chronological order, the concrete sequential mind that I have. That's just how we do it. So, does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
Have you been back into the class since I started set it up?
No, I have not. That just means, as far as I'm concerned, it's your class. I mean, just
very good.
Just drive on.
So you talk about how you do things in a concrete sequential way. I'm starting with chapters 10, 11, and 12 in Limog. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. I've
done that with the Harry Wong book, because I want to get right to the basic nuts and bolts of routines and procedures real early. And if I had to ding Harry Wong about something, his books aren't always that way. And so there have been times when I say, no, Harry, we got to put this here. And of course, he's been doing it for 85 years. So who am I going to criticize Harry Wong or Doug Lamov or Rosano, things like that. Anyway, okay. Any questions?
I have a few questions.
Okay, now I will say, Sophia, if the question is specific to you, I can stop recording. And then, or if it's a general question that might pertain to lots of people, I will keep the recording going. It just depends on, that's your call.
Yeah. So I'm right now, I'm looking at a canvas right now. So for the block 2 for the fall, we won't see it until certain days before start, right?
That is true.
Okay.
The professor, well, there's two things there. There are within the system itself that professor from publishing the class too early. There
it says no
hard
now.
and fast dates in the system, and then the professor has to actually, the words publish the course. Then have to decide which modules are published and which assignments are published. So there's different levels of control that so you won't see it now. You won't see now. Dr. Reynolds can see your name in the Canvas site.
Okay, good.
She can, I mean, I don't have it open right now, but she can see the people that are in there. And
okay.
so, and I mean, you should know, you should be able to go into your own cat paws to confirm your own enrollment. That's an important concept, that you're able to navigate the systems yourself. And it's also the same thing with the program of study. I try to be as diligent as possible. One of my nightmares is that I help somebody miss a class and the wheels come off of the program and they blame me and all that kind of stuff. That hasn't happened yet, but it's very important. And it's the same thing here. I'll say it this way, that your program of study is your program of study. Okay, it's your world, it's your life. Your certifications, I mean, Kim Hollinger can do this in her sleep, but it's still your ultimate responsibility to be aware and in tune with your progress on your coursework and your certifications, because ultimately it is your responsibility. Okay, and as a teacher, I'll say this for Katie or Shannon, whoever, as a teacher, it is not your principal's responsibility to keep track of your certifications. It's not the HR's person in Liberty. It's not their responsibility. It is your professional responsibility to be in tune with that. So being able to navigate in CatPaws or Canvas or your profile in DESE, those are ultimately your responsibilities. And it's important that you double check me to say, wait a minute, what about such class? And I go, oh my God, we not missed that. Okay. I want that. I want people watching, double checking my work, because this is your life you're talking about. And I mean, if I make a mistake, it's all correctable. For example, the class some of you have on your system is Issues in Education, which wasn't offered last semester. And if that happens, I've taught it. I can do, and I can do independent studies. I mean, I can work people through this process if the wheels come off of something. And I did a couple independent studies last year for people that got out of sync and for one reason or another. We have a lot of latitude with that. Okay, but ultimately, it's your responsibility. Okay.
Okay. So I don't need to do anything as far as enrollment for the fall second block, right?
No,
at this point?
No.
Okay.
Now
okay.
that is assuming that Dr. Reynolds can see your name in there. And I think I've seen your name in there. And
yeah.
Okay, so she can see you in there. It's just a matter of you, I presume, Dr. Reynolds, you want them to go ahead and purchase their copy of the Lamov book.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you can go ahead and do that.
Okay, yeah, that would be my next question. Okay, so would that be in the bookstore?
No.
In the cat paw? No.
No, just go to Amazon.
Oh.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble,
Uh-huh.
online Kindle. So you get on your
Okay.
laptop. You can rent it through those processes.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, don't spend a ton of money on it. And really, the book we're talking about is not his newest version. I think he's got one that's coming out, you know, like this month or something like that, or just did. And I was kind of scared to go for something that was so new, just on the off chance that you all didn't have as many options for purchasing it. But for most of these books, I do it through my Amazon Kindle account, and I'll buy or I'll rent for like 180 days or 90 days or something like that. And then I just read it on my computer. And it lets you cut and paste a little bit too, which I kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't like very much. You can't do very much of that because the chance of plagiarism is so strong, but a little bit. And and I can read it on my smartphone. Man, I didn't even show up. Okay, there. That kind of stuff. Okay, so you don't have to buy a paper copy if you don't want to. But then Barnes and Noble, you can, however you want to do it.
Yeah, I like buying them used, especially the teachers' books used, because most of the time we tend to write in our books.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you get a used book, especially if it's like a teaching technique book, you might get notes from a previous teacher who had that book, and then they give their idea on how they used it.
Okay. Now, is the name of the book and publisher, was it in the email that Dr. Gordon sent out? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and get it. Don't wait. So you can hit the. There she goes.
Okay. Teach champion.
Teach like a champion.
Teach like a champion. 2.0.
Yes. I think there's a 3.0
Okay.
just came out, right? Right, Stephanie? It came out this month, if I remember right.
It came out, September, or is it coming out in October? One or two.
But see, the Harry Wong book that I had you use, classic. Doug Lemov, classic. Okay, and actually, if you go into the DESE's pages, where they talk about the resources that they built their teaching standards on, they list Doug Lemov, they list Marzano, which I will expose you all to more Marzano stuff. They mentioned John Hattie, and so we try this program to stay with the big name folks. So when you have conversations in your building about Harry Wong or Larry Lemov, your principal go, yeah, I know that. I've got that book in my bookshelf. Okay, and your other teachers will be conversant in it also. And there are workshops that you can go to, and they have a lot of resources too, because they make big bucks on their PD and their books and their newsletters and their books and their books and their books and their books. And so there's just a lot of resources out there based on the work of these people. And you know, it's a little bit of reinventing the wheel, which is perfectly fine. But you all are still in the nuts and bolts stage. Okay.
I have a few other questions, but that's all personal. So you can move on to the next person.
Does anybody else have a question, or should I stop recording now? Okay, I will stop recording, and how it works is that I am always the last person to exit out. So I'll just kind of take questions as we go out. I'm stopping recording now.